Welcome to the Reawaken You podcast, the podcast for women who are done dimming their light. I'm your host, Kate Parker, empowerment coach and founder of Reawaken Coaching. Together, we'll dive into authenticity, sovereignty, and the art of self-leadership, everything it takes to embody your own queen energy and create a legacy that's unapologetically yours. Let's begin. Hey everyone, today I want to talk about 10 questions that will help you come home to yourself, because I think they're kind of important and I don't think we ask ourselves questions enough. You see, there's a moment that only happens when you finally slow down enough to hear yourself think. And for me, it's usually on the beach, that soft hush of New Zealand waves and the gritty sand against my feet and, that salty air. And, my mind unwinds, my shoulders soften, and my nervous system, which has spent the week performing, a lot of emotional labor, it finally drops into something that resembles peace. And then, because the universe always has impeccable timing, a truth that I've been avoiding usually lands with a thud, and it's something like, damn, I've been running on autopilot again. And that's self-awareness. It's gentle until it isn't, and it's poetic until it hits a bruise, and it's elegant right before it shakes you awake. If you're anything like the women that I coach, high achieving yet self-doubting, or intuitive yet exhausted, and endlessly giving but quietly depleted, this might feel familiar. We spend our lives reading the room, but we hardly ever read ourselves. We know what everyone else needs before they even say it. We can anticipate conflict, soothe tension, carry the emotional temperature of a household or a workplace on our backs, but ask us what we truly want, and there's silence, blank space, buffering. And it's not because we're lost or broken, it's because we've been trained out of our own knowing. Self-awareness is an acute self-care exercise. It's how a woman rebuilds her sovereignty after years of survival. It's how she transitions from reacting to choosing, or from pleasing to leading, from disappearing to finally arriving. These questions are deceptively simple, but they're potent. They unwind the roles that we've outgrown, and they reveal the conditioning that keeps us small and reconnect us with our future self, who has been waiting, probably impatiently, for us to remember who we are. So the first question is, when was the last time you publicly acknowledged being wrong about something that mattered? Humility is one of the most underused feminine power sources. And not because women aren't humble. I think that we're often overly humble, but it's because we fear the vulnerability that comes along with truth-telling. I remember a moment a couple of years ago with my daughter. She was frustrated. She'd had a long day at school. I was tired and I snapped, and not because of her behavior, but because of the accumulated weight of running my life while constantly tending to everybody else's needs. I felt that old familiar shame, and it crawled up my throat. And I could have defaulted to defensiveness and say something like, well, if you didn't do this, or, how stressed I am right now, or I wouldn't react if. But something in me, made me stop. And I looked into her eyes and I said, I'm sorry, that one's on me. And I've had to do this a number of times over the years. And whenever I do it, her face relaxes. She realizes that it's not her. She realizes that it's something going on with me. And, it's in these moments that strengthen our relationship more than what any self-protection ever could. And most women, they can apologize. We've had years of practice. But admitting that we're wrong in a meaningful way, in a way that dismantles ego and it deepens connection, well, I think that requires self-awareness. And the question is not simply, when were you wrong? It's more like, where do you avoid being wrong because you fear what it reveals? And I think that that's where the healing is. My next question is, if you had perfect confidence for 5 minutes, what would you do? Confidence, I think, is fascinating. Give a woman 5 uninterrupted minutes of it and she can see her whole life so clearly. I've asked many women this question, and not once has the answer been small. Not once has she said, oh, Kate, I'm going to clean out my pantry when I get home. No. She says things like, I'd apply for that leadership role that I've been telling myself I'm not qualified for, or I would tell my partner the truth that I've been sitting on, or I'd finally start my business, the one I keep planning in secret. I'd book the trip and sign the contract, or I'd write the damn book, or I'd stop pretending that I'm okay with things when actually I'm not okay. 5 minutes of perfect confidence is like X-ray vision. It reveals, where the fear has been shrinking you, where you've been tolerating less than you deserve, where you've been negotiating with your dream, or where your life has been, just waiting for you to rise up. Your answer is not random. It's a direct message from your future self. It's saying, this is where I need you to be braver. And my next question is, what is your proudest achievement? I know that's going to make you feel funny, isn't it? Pride is complicated for women. We're taught early, don't shine too brightly, don't brag, don't take up too much space, be humble, but make sure everybody else feels good while you're at it. And so when I ask someone, what is your proudest achievement? I can see her eyes, they scan the room as if searching for the safest possible answer. They say things like, oh, nothing major. Oh, this might sound silly, but ... Oh, I don't know if it counts, but ... Sweetheart, everything counts. Pride is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's that deep, grounded, chest-filling feeling of, I fought for this version of me. A woman disconnected from pride is a woman disconnected from her power. And a woman disconnected from her power is vulnerable to things like unhealthy relationships and toxic workplaces and overfunctioning and burnout and repeating old cycles and dimming her voice or shrinking her dreams, Your answer to this question tells me exactly where your inner queen has been hiding. My next question is, in what situations are you most likely to lie? Let's call it what it is. Most women don't tell lies. We tell protections. We say things like, I'm fine. It's not a big deal. No, seriously, I don't mind. Oh yeah, I can handle that. These aren't lies. They're survival tactics. A friend of mine, mother of 3, she once told me, Kate, sometimes I lie to myself about how tired I am because if I admitted it, I would fall apart. Another one told me that she hides her anger because she grew up in a home where anger was dangerous. Another hides her desire for more because she's afraid of being told that she's ungrateful. Our lies reveal our fears, and our fears reveal our unmet needs. So instead of judging yourself, maybe ask, what truth am I protecting myself from feeling? Because that truth is the doorway to your next level of self-awareness. My next magical question is, what does your ideal day look like? The first draft of a woman's ideal day is usually a performance. And I know this because, hello, my name is Kate and I have done this. It's the gold standard wellness routine that we think we should want. It's, this was my one. Wake up at 5 a.m, I'm going to meditate, maybe do a cold plunge, eat my smoothie bowl, do my journaling, get my 10,000 steps in, have some beautiful sunshine, and then I'll get into my saint-like productivity for the day. Beautiful. Aspirational. Probably not yours. Wasn't mine either. And when I push deeper, these facades, they crack. One woman said to me, honestly, I just want a day when no one touches me or asks me anything. Another said, my ideal day starts at 10 a.m. because I've spent 20 years waking up before dawn before everybody else. Another one said, my ideal day includes a nap and nobody scowling at me for taking it. Your ideal day is not a fantasy, it's a blueprint. It reveals your true rhythm, what your nervous system needs, your core desires, your values, your authenticity, or, all that joy that you've been neglecting. Your ideal day is the version of you that your future self lives as a default. My next question is, when was the last time you stood up for yourself? Boundary work is where women often experience their biggest identity shifts. That's why I focus on it so much in my coaching. Because your last self-protective no might have been tiny, it might have been declining a favor or not responding instantly or raising a concern, but energetically it was probably massive. I once had a client who had spent her entire life being agreeable. I mean, these are her words, not mine. She told me she had no boundaries, and then she told me about a moment where she finally said to her sister, and this was really uncomfortable for her, but she said, actually, that plan or whatever it was doesn't work for me. And she dismissed it as trivial to begin with, but in that moment, that was a woman who was reclaiming herself, and every time that you speak up, you are healing your younger self and you're strengthening your future self and you're honoring your present self and you're training your nervous system to feel safe with truth. You see, boundaries are not walls, they're self-respect. And when we say no, or when we put boundaries in place, it's taking action. My next question is, what are your biggest regrets? You see, regret is a compass. And a lot of women avoid this question because they fear being swallowed up by the past. But regret, when approached gently, it shows you who you wanted to be before conditioning taught you otherwise. If you look closely at it, like if your regrets center around silence, it means that you value voice. So if you stayed silent for something, can you regret taking that action? Because it is an action or inaction. Then you value voice. And if they center around staying for too long, then you value freedom, like staying too long in a relationship. If they center around not taking opportunities, then you value boldness. So did you take the promotion, or did you start the business, or did you walk through that door of opportunity? No. Okay. If they center around self-betrayal, then you value authenticity. So if you morphed yourself into the woman that your husband wanted, then that's a regret, right? If they center around you caregiving at your own expense, then you value having that back. You value being cared for. I know there's a word for it, but I can never say it properly, so you're just going to have to forgive me. Regret tells the truth about your values more loudly than what your goals ever will. My next question is, what is something that you believe strongly, but you very rarely talk about? Every woman has hidden beliefs, okay? And they're usually something that she protects because it feels risky to reveal. So, like for one woman, it was, I want to make serious money. But, she stayed quiet because she feared being judged. For another, it was, I don't want a traditional marriage, I want a partnership. I don't want this ownership thing that marriage comes with. And for another, it was, I believe that women are more powerful than they've ever been taught. For many, they say things like, I want more depth, I want more joy, more expression, more desire, more self-trust. Your unspoken beliefs are your soul's non-negotiables. They are parts of you that refuse to stay small. The parts that will eventually break through anyway. Okay, here's my next question. What do you love most about yourself? This is one of the most revealing questions a woman can ever answer. Because when she names what she loves, she names her essence, what she recognizes within herself. Maybe she loves her softness, or maybe it's her strength, maybe it's her creativity or her resilience, her sense of humor, her heart. But when she can't answer, when she freezes, that tells me something too, and it should tell you something. It tells us that she has spent years being told what her values are, that they lie in service or sacrifice or silence. Self-love is not indulgence, it is a reclamation. A woman who loves herself stops settling for crumbs. She stops apologizing for existing. She stops shrinking to make others feel comfortable. Self-love is the fuel of queen energy. And my final question is, what do you hope to gain by becoming more self-aware? Most women I talk to, they answer with things like less anxiety, more confidence, better relationships, a calmer life, clarity. My answer to this question is freedom. They're all beautiful. They're all valid. These are all real things. But beneath it, there is something deeper. Self-awareness gives a woman her life back. Self-awareness is how she stops repeating painful patterns, how she stops betraying herself for love, approval, or peace, how she stops making decisions from fear, how she stops living the life she inherited and starts living the life that she chooses. Self-awareness is not a tool. It's a relationship, it's the one that you have with yourself. And when that relationship becomes sacred and curious and brave, you become unstoppable. So these questions, they're not challenges. I look at them like they're invitations, to soften, to rise, to return to your truth, finally, to reclaim the woman that you were before you learned to doubt yourself. These questions, they help you step into your queen energy with clarity, courage, and self-trust. Because your future self is watching. She's patient and she's ready. And she's whispering, it's time. Right. That's it for today. I hope you guys all enjoyed that episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning into the Reawaken You podcast. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to rate or review this podcast in the app that you're listening on. It really does help others to find this show. And if there's someone you know who would love this too, please share this with them. I'm also over on Substack at the House of Reawakening, where I share my latest articles, musings, and whatever else is on my mind. So you'll find the link in the show notes below. I'd love for you to join me over there too. Until next time, stay awake, stay authentic, and stay connected to your truth.